So tonight we welcome the dazzling, the daring, the deeply inspiring Helena Yasmin, a multi-talented artist, performer, and the founder of Healing for Artists Community. It's a sanctuary for creatives seeking rest, release, and revival. Her pop R&B and theater work embodies softness and power, and trust me, you will feel both tonight. Helena is currently a creative at the residence of the University of London, and her debut single Trophy is out now. I'll drop the link in the chat, so please go and show her some love. Okay, I'll drop a link in the chat when we start interviewing her. But behind the spotlight lies a story of profound struggle. A few years ago, Elena hit a wall, a total burnout, and it didn't leave her just emotionally depleted, but physically it left her shattered. She began having seizures, sometimes up to 10 seizures a day. Can you believe it, guys? Well, Helena, she chose to rise. Through the grit, grace, and growth, she reclaimed her life. She reignited her creativity and built a safe space for others who are navigating stress or trauma and burnout, to come and receive kind of relief. So today she's here to share her journey, her pain, her power, and the path back to herself. Now, guys, listen, let's give a thunderous welcome to the unstoppable, the unshakable Helena Yasmin. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you
Hello,
doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. As Cleopatra said, my name is Helena Yasmin, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
You look lovely, by the way.
So do
So,
you.
it's all right. Thank you. So, let's start from the beginning. Can you share a bit about your upbringing and your entire journey into the world of performing arts as well?
Absolutely. So I was born in Camden, London, and then I grew up on the south coast in the UK, in and around the Bournemouth area. Performing arts and acting is always something that I was interested in, and I did it at college. And then I was lucky enough to get accepted into drama school when I was 18. So I attended the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. Um, from 18 to 21, I was studying in London, and then during second year and third year is when the lockdown happened. So my studies moved to online in COVID. And yeah, now after that, in 2021, I moved all over the country. I've moved like 12 times in the past 3 years. And now I'm settling back down. I go to London a lot. I also go to the South Coast a lot, and I go in between these two cities. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Oh, let me give a shout out to my royals. Robin! Hold out for me too, Robin. You're a darling. Thank you very much, actually, Robin, for putting my stuff up on LinkedIn. All right. Thank you so much. You are, like I said, you don't believe it, but I think you're a genius. All right. Whatever you say, I don't care. You're a genius. All right. Okay. Hi, Riri. Hey, darling. How are you? Thank you so much for joining, my darling. Gift. Oh, my sweetheart. Thank you for joining, Gift. How are you today? Maureen and a guest. Thank you so much, Maureen and a guest. I know it's you because I can't see your name, but I know it's you. Thank you for joining. Nicole, my sister. Maureen, my big sister. Nicole, my sister, my baby sister. Welcome. Thank you all for joining. Thank you. Amaka, darling, you are so sweet. Thank you for joining. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to have a good one tonight. So tell me, Yasmin, sorry, Elena, what was life for you like just before the seizures began? Were there signs of like stress or burnout that kind of in hindsight you think, okay, yeah, I recognize that that's what happened? What was it like for you?
So previously, for the past like 7 years before that, in 2022, when I completely burnt out and it started happening, to my knowledge, there was like 7 years of different traumatic events that kept happening like one after the other progressively. So during that time when I was like really stressed out and on like the brink of burnout, I would start getting like a few seizures, but I didn't know that's what it was at the time. I had a lot of like dissociation and like PTSD symptoms, and I just sort of would call it like being spaced out. So there were definitely signs that I was about to burn out slash was already having seizures, but I just didn't know about it until 2022 when I was at I started cabaret singing and doing like holiday entertainment at this holiday park, and I burnt out at this work training and started like having seizures, and I had a seizure in front of like my manager. I ended up having to go for a walk with the creative director of the whole company, having a seizure, and I still like didn't really know what it was, and I was like very scared, and I had to go to hospital, had to get like an EEG test done, which is when they like stick all these
Into your
things to your
head.
brain and like scan your brain. So I had like two rounds of that, and then I got diagnosed with generalized epilepsy and something called NEAD, which is non-epileptic attack disorder. So
Wow.
it's really confusing because I don't fully understand it myself, but apparently most of the seizures that I do have are non-epileptic, which is like a form of PTSD symptom style seizures. But then apparently the actual epilepsy just enhances these. I'm not quite sure. Like I was like, well, what is a epileptic seizure and a non-epileptic seizure? Like how will I know the difference? And essentially they were like, I don't know. So I'm on anti-epilepsy medication, but that doesn't affect the non-epileptic seizures.
Wow. That is like,
It's a lot.
wow. Yeah. Now, can you describe the moment though you first experienced the seizure? What were the symptoms and how did they affect your body and your mind as well?
Yeah, well, the first time I like knew it was a seizure, like I said, I was at this work training and we were doing this training thing that was a little bit like triggering for some of my personal symptoms. I had like been through stuff, and then we were like speaking in depth about a specific topic that I found really difficult. So then I like left. I thought I was having some sort of like panic attack. I don't personally experience panic attacks, but I was like, oh, that's what it must be. But then I like collapsed and started having like a full like body seizure, and my manager found me and like tried to like help me up and stuff, and then I just kept having them. So I was having like, I don't know, quite a few in this one like small space of time. And then after this work training, it happened again at work, but in a different place at work. And then I ended up going to the hospital to be like, what is this? And that's how I found out that I was having seizures.
Let me just like for your body though, did you feel tired or drained afterwards, or you just
Yeah,
you got okay? Okay.
absolutely. So every time it happens, it's like a big pull of your energy, and like for me personally, I get really like confused. Sometimes I'm not sure like what year it is or like where I am or like who I'm with, and just get really like confused and a bit
Wow.
dissociated and very, very like drained and tired. So if it does happen a few
Wow.
times, then I'll have to like just take it easy for the rest of the day where possible, just to make sure I'm looking after myself and staying safe.
Okay. So like how frequently though, at your worst, how frequently were they occurring on a day-to-day basis?
Well, when it first started happening, and this was in 2022 through till about the beginning of 2024, um, they were happening so frequently, about like 10 a day, potentially more, but not less.
Wow.
Um, and it was like pretty much every single day. And I feel so grateful that that's not the case anymore, but they are still
Fantastic.
happening, but a lot less. And when it is happening now, I am equipped with like tools that can help me like self-soothe and like regulate, and that I know what's happening, so I know the appropriate steps to take care of myself.
So they gave you some medications that you're taking as well, you said, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So if there is time, guys, I will talk about some alternative therapy. It's not going to cure it, but at least it will help calm your nerves if there is time. Because I did a bit of research about, because a lot of people don't like taking orthodox medications and all that. They'd rather just treat it with herbs and stuff like that. So if there is time, we can talk about that. But yeah, um, wow, Elena, seriously. Okay, so what were some of the like major challenges you faced during that time, like socially, creatively, financially, or even with your living situation? Did you have any challenges at all?
Yes, I did. Basically, in my personal home, there was someone there that I could no longer be around because they were sort of a very triggering person to be around. So I was kind of in a displaced place, which is why I moved so many times. It's because I
Wow.
kept like moving from different people's houses, like sofa surfing, staying with different family, friends, friends of friends, etc. And then eventually I moved in with my partner and we lived in Hailing Island, and then we moved to Somerset, and then I moved to London on my own, and I'm not with this person anymore, and now I just like have a better living situation. But one of the major struggles was not having a safe space to
Mm,
even get settled, and on top of like just completely burning out and having seizures, not knowing where you're going to be living was also very stressful. And I was also just trying to stay active within the performing arts world. So I was still going for auditions and different. In 2023, I went on a UK touring pantomime show in a production of an adult version of Aladdin, and I was Princess Jasmine. And that was okay because this show was only at the weekends. So we would travel to a different city. And then for the rest of the week, I had time to like recover because
mm.
at the time, if I went outside like once, I would be like basically bedridden for the next 3 days.
Wow.
So that was it at its worst, was just completely disabling and not really being able to do everyday stuff.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Gift says, really thank God that you are out of it now. Thank God
Yeah,
for that,
thank God.
honestly. And Amaka welcomes you, Helena. She goes, welcome, Helena. Actually, before we continue, I am going to drop some links in the chat for you guys because should I drop it now? I'll drop it. No, if I drop it now, you guys will click out of it. No, you got to be on the yeah. Well, I'll drop it later. It's the link to her single, right? Because she's a singer as well. She's not just an actor or performing art, no, actor, but she's a singer. She's released a single, so you guys got to listen to that. Okay, I'll drop that later. That's a nice piece of nugget for you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know you said you were moving around and all that, but did you receive any kind of support from family or friends, the medical system as well, like NHS, for instance, or the creative community, or did you feel mostly alone during that period?
I was really very privileged that I did have a solid network of
Okay.
family and friends, and then I had a partner at the time. So I was definitely supported emotionally during this very turbulent time, few years. And because it happened in a workspace,
Mm,
I was seen very quickly in the medical system, and because of how severe it was, I was also
mm,
seen to very quickly. Um, this whole like chunk between 2022 to 2024 is
mm.
really a blur because of how unconscious I was throughout most of it. But to my
Wow.
knowledge, like I say very quickly, I do mean over the course of like 6 months. It took a
Mm,
long time to get diagnosed, but and then it took a long time to like go on to medication. And then I was on this medication, and then it wasn't really like working. I was still having a lot of seizures, um,
right.
because most of them weren't epileptic, and the medication doesn't affect non-epileptic seizures. So I was a bit
Oh, okay.
confused at the like dosage as well. But I'm on a very low dosage for epilepsy, but it's still like twice daily to take this medication.
Wow. And if you didn't take it though, did you have any like reoccurrence or whatever if you don't take it, or you had to take it, or
Weirdly, I don't know if it's just like a withdrawal symptom, but you have to take it like 12 hours apart, and I can always feel if it's about time to take it, even though I don't take it at the exact same time every day because I like wake up and go to bed at different times. But if it's like past the time, I can feel that I'm like, oh, I feel really, oh, I feel ill, and I'm like, oh yes, because I haven't
Mm,
taken my medication, and I'll start to get like
okay.
dizzy and confused.
Oh wow. Wow. Okay, so how did you cope with the emotional trauma of it all then? Did you keep yourself, going? How did you do it? Keep yourself going, or how did you distract yourself from the pain just so that you don't think about it?
Um, yes, I think I wasn't able to like watch a lot of stuff. Like I could only watch very like comforting shows, like a Disney Channel type of movies that were just not anything serious.
Right, okay.
I was, I think my body's way of coping just completely like dissociated and like just wasn't present in my day to day life. So I think my brain's natural coping mechanism was just like removing me entirely from the world, which,
Mm,
thank you, body and brain, but it wasn't like I just I was coping by not being there
mm.
at the beginning before I started having seizure based therapy.
Right. Okay. Okay. So when did the healing begin? Was there a turning point or a moment when things, like slowly started to shift for you mentally and physically as well?
Mostly when I was finally living somewhere where I wasn't like, oh, where am I going to live? Um, and then when I started getting different, like performing contracts and stuff, sort of in the career started happening a little bit more, then I started to build that trust in myself. So I was like, oh, I can do things. Like,
Mm,
just because I have a disability doesn't mean I cannot, I'm not capable. I am capable of doing stuff. It's just making those adjustments to suit your accessibility needs.
mm,
But definitely when I started um, the seizure therapy and stopped having crises, because even though I would like left home and stuff was still happening in the meantime that was out of my control, and it wasn't. It was just more like traumatic events that were still continuing to happen throughout,
mm.
even after I
Wow.
was having the seizures.
Wow. So what led to the start then of the healing process community? Because I'm a member, by the way, of that
Yes, you
of that.
are. I always see your messages.
Yeah, I'm a member of that community as well. So what led to the start of it? What motivated you, and how did helping other people become part of your own healing journey
Mm.
make you feel? Yeah.
So in 2020 or 2019, when I was still living in London, this is before the burnout, I was started doing heels dance classes with this girl called Danny, and she ended up being my mentor in the lockdown, and I was her PA, and she was a entrepreneur. So she had a dance based business, but she was also mentoring artists and creatives of how to start their own business and how that's really important as creatives to start your own thing and be a brand and to have your own thing so that you're not like, oh, please, I need this opportunity. Like, please give me the job. Please give me the role. You're coming at it with desperate energy, but by having your own sense of self and own thing that you are like, well, actually, no, you need me. And in the lockdown, I was getting mentored by her, and I came up with the idea of healing for artists. But I
Mm,
didn't know what the vehicle was going to be. I knew that I wanted it to be a membership. I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that it was a space to have healing for artists, but I just didn't know what it was. And then after the fact of 2022, I started the WhatsApp community, which you're a part of, and I started a bunch of threads so people could just join. So there's like a performance group so people can like connect. they can put out like different call outs. They could like support each other's work, or if they're like, oh, I want to collaborate with this type of person, like there's a space that you can just meet different types of people. The most active group is a group specifically for actors called the SOS self-tape group, and that is only for actors who need a last-minute reader for their self-tapes, which is an audition that you film like on your phone at home, so you don't have to go into the space, but you need someone else to like read the dialogue of the other character. They just pop a little call out in the chat, and then someone will read for them, and I think there's over 200 people in this chat now, which is amazing.
This is really great.
Really grateful that it's like everyone's helping each other out and that there is a real community there. So that's how that naturally progressed. And then since then, we've run in-person events like the Dance Audition Workshop for Actors, which is a space for actors to learn about the musical theatre foundations of what to expect in a movement dance audition, because they'll always be like, oh, it's a movement call, but you don't have to be a dancer, and then you go and they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're like, oh my gosh, no, I was lied to, I'm so confused. And then we've done like Heels Dance Workshop, which is for like empowering women to feel safe and confident to explore dance in like a fun way and break down those performing arts barriers of like, oh, if you can't do a triple pirouette, then you're nothing, which is a really strange rhetoric in my opinion. So now I've done a few workshops and classes. I've also done Zoom classes where we do a breakdown of like last month, reflection, and then like a group goal setting of the month ahead. And I know that now I would like to continue building spaces within London and the South Coast, and then eventually nationally or internationally, when we start getting the ball rolling of dance-based offerings. I'm going to close the member group. So like everyone who's already in the community, you're OG members. But eventually we're going to start integrating like paid tiers. So for new people that want to come in, it'll be like quite affordable, like one coffee's worth a month, something small, just to be a part of this community. And we're going to build it up. I've got a team now. We've got community manager. We've got choreographers, guest choreographers, facilitators. And
nice one.
So I'm like, okay, it's naturally progressing at a good rate where I don't feel like I'm gonna completely burn out. And it's manageable, but it's also, I'm not pushing. I want it when it feels aligned and when it feels like it's going in a natural direction and it's building momentum slowly, because my life motto is small steps, great distances.
That's right.
Go against the tide, I'm flowing with the tide, and I'm taking the steps. I know that God has laid out a plan for me. In 2021, I came to faith. I got baptized in London.
Yes. My sister in the Lord. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Praise the Lord. Amen.
I know. So I do feel spiritually aligned, and since coming to faith, I found that things have just flowed a lot easier because I've been open to the Spirit. I'm open to hearing messages and what vehicle I'm meant to be used for to deliver goodness and healing throughout my own communities, because I've gone through this struggle. It's not something that I've made up. Like it's a lived experience. I've been through a lot, and I know I can come out of it, and I know that I have tools to help other people.
To help you. Yeah. Nice one. Let me give a shout out to Juliet, my darling. Thank you so much for joining, my girl. How you doing? And she says, great work. Yes, great work. And thank you so much. She says, thanks for sharing your journey and to healing. And then Gift says, you are indeed a strong woman. With all these challenges, you are still up and doing. You never allowed your health condition to stop you from doing what you love doing. Perfectly. I couldn't have said it myself, Gift. You said it perfectly well. Thank you so much for that. Yes, she is a great woman. No doubt about that. I always say, whatever happens to you, sometimes, especially when you're a Christian, I believe that sometimes God allows you to go through certain things because he wants, to mold you and to use it to be a blessing to somebody else. So that tomorrow, what you've gone through, will inspire somebody else to say, if she could get over it, if she could do it, then so can I. So you are definitely an inspiration. And Nicole is asking, did you have any head injuries prior to the seizures?
No, no.
No.
It's not
Interesting.
from head trauma. It's from
Thank God.
it's something called CPTSD. So you have PTSD, and then there's CPTSD, which means complex PTSD, which is from like a lineage of multiple traumatic events that have happened. So it's actually from this subsection that I think it's like come out of. Actually, one of my friends got diagnosed with NEAD, which is the non-epileptic seizures, and we'd gone through a similar situation, which is really unfortunate, and I'm so sorry that she also went through that, but that it seems to be almost common for a specific type of trauma, that the stress comes out as a seizure. Some people, when they're stressed, they like faint. There's other, like, some people get migraines when they're stressed. Like, the body expels stress and trauma somehow because energy can't be destroyed. It just goes somewhere, and mine came out through seizures.
Wow. Wow. So guys, listen, I have dropped the link. Now don't come out yet. Don't click it yet. I didn't want to forget because I want you to stay in the chat, right? But you can watch, you can click on the link and watch her single. Yeah. I would have said I would even play it, but I don't know when. I don't want to break anything. So do you know what I mean? But guys, you need to click and listen to the single. I think it's amazing. So now that you've released your single and you have a thriving, wellness space, what does life look for like today for you? And what vision are you working towards, like, going forward now?
Yeah. I am working on new music. I wrote an EP at drama school, and I was like told that I was too like mainstream, and I was like, oh, heaven forbid a girl wants to make a living.
Right?
But mine's like a pop R&B style. It is commercial, and I think the school wanted to have a specific piece of art. So, like, for example, in my course, I watched a girl like eat an onion with the whole skin on as like a form of art. So I think they wanted it more
Oh,
like
okay.
art.
Sweet.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this style of art, which is not my it's not my bag. But
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of songs then, and now I toured them last year around London, a couple down south, and now I'm looking at releasing these acoustic versions and turning them into studio versions. So like the Trophy song, also a few more other songs, and then I'm also writing a musical theatre piece and then turning these songs into a theatre thing. I'm stringing a narrative in there through the residency, and there's just a lot of threads going on. I'm training vocally to still be in the musical theatre space, but I would love to be cast in like a movie musical, and pivot to like screen acting, because doing theatre work of like 8 shows a week currently with my health, I don't think I would be able to do
Bit
that on
much.
set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just training and pivoting in different directions where I know that my energy will be best served.
Okay. 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 All right. I'll ask you one more question before I go into, some of these sort of like herbal remedies that you can take. So going forward now though, what would you advise someone who's sort of like experiencing like similar symptoms as you as well? In hindsight, how would you advise somebody so that they can know what to do?
Well, I think first of all, if anyone else is going through this, like, I'm so sorry. It's a very tough situation. I think you can't fight against it. The only thing you can do is take it step by step into one, get as much rest as possible, and like try and find a safe space to recover and find your sense of self again. Because for me, I was like, oh, like my life's on hold, like I can't do anything, and like this mindset was not really serving me, but it was a symptom. So I think when you have a certain type of mental health period, you get really tunnel vision and you can only see like a downward spiral, but that's
Yeah.
not you, that's just a symptom of what you're going through. So
True.
I would say to, as much as possible, rest and know that, you know, whatever you're wanting to do is always just still going to be there for you. You're not missing out. This, you're taking this vital time to take care of yourself, because when you're ill, you can't work anyway. So just to not fight against this and to just accept that you're at where you're at, and to really take care of those different parts of yourself that are struggling.
Nice one. Okay, so for the benefit of those who may not know what this is about, I'm going to give like a just a brief summation of some of the things. It may not necessarily be everything, but I'm just going to give a little bit of a narrative about this sort of thing. Um, I think this thing actually manifests in different ways in different people, but it's still this psychogenic. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But let me see if anybody else has said anything. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's talk about this, right? So I'll give you a breakdown. This seizure is called PNES. It's a stress induced seizure known as psychogenic non-epileptic seizure, right? So this PNES are a type of non-epileptic seizure that occurs as a response to stress. The connection between stress and seizure is often overlooked because the stress itself does not cause any traditional epileptic seizures. However, extreme emotional or physical stress can provoke a psychological or physical reaction in the brain, leading to seizures that mimic those of epilepsy. So this condition is known as the psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, or PNES. So what are the causes of this sort of seizures, right? Emotional stress, trauma, anxiety, depression, um, like major life events can heighten the stress that leads to these seizures, and it's often linked to unresolved emotional trauma, such as maybe like past abuse or loss or overwhelming life situations, for instance. It can also be physical stress like sleep deprivation. I was actually talking to Helena before we started that sometimes if I don't get my sleep, maybe I don't sleep well for a few days, my eyes start twitching, like twitching, and like, and she was like, oh, maybe. I said, no, it's not PNES, but people react to, things in different ways. So sleep deprivation or illness or physical exhaustion can lower the body's tolerance for stress, which may then trigger the seizures in vulnerable individuals, right? And then it can also be like a psychological stress. Say stressors like work pressure, family problems, or performance anxiety can also trigger seizures, particularly in individuals predisposed to psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, the PNES, right? So, what would be the effects of this sort of stress? We're talking impaired cognitive functioning, like during and after seizure. Some individuals might often experience memory lapse or difficulty in concentrating, right? Emotional and physical strain. Stress induced seizures can cause emotional distress, social withdrawal, anxiety about future seizures, things like that. And also, it can manifest like physical health impact, yeah, because these seizures can result in a physical injury. Maybe if somebody, especially those who have the whole body seizures, then they can just uncontrollably just fall like that, and it can even injure themselves. And it can make the body suffer wear and tear because you're always falling from it. So what are the treatments, and how can you manage it? So there's the one they call cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. This is form of therapy that's often most effective for those with psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, the PNES. It helps individuals to identify, modify the thought patterns, and contributing to their stress seizures. So they kind of like try to consciously think about why is this happening, so that when they find themselves going towards that direction, they check themselves so that it doesn't happen. And then stress management techniques like mindfulness, meditation, yoga, progressive muscle relaxations, they can help reduce stress and lower the likelihood of stress happening again, right? And then you have things like the psychiatric medications that they would prescribe for those who are underlying mental health conditions such as depression or anxiety. They have the psychiatric medications like antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs, which may help alleviate the psychological stress that would trigger the seizures. And then lifestyle changes like adequate sleep, for instance, regular physical exercises and regular balanced nutrition are essential to reduce the impact of obviously the stress in your body. And then, if you have support groups, I think that's why this healing community also is good, because if you have support groups, when you connect with others also who have a similar experience, they can provide emotional support and help individuals feel less isolated in their struggles. So that is the Oibo or the whites, the orthodox kind of ways to treat it. But there's also the alternative treatments that people might want to consider to, not so much to cure it, but at least to help alleviate some of the problems and sort of like help you to calm it down. Let me take these comments from Amaka. Amaka says, I'm quite happy you had the positive mindset to step on top of those challenges and continue to forge ahead. Mingling and communicating with people always helps.
It
And then
does.
she continues to say, to forge ahead. So yeah, I mean, you're such an inspiration, right? So I'm going to play a little clip about the sort of alternative treatments that you can have or you can receive when you're going through it. Um, so you got herbal remedies like valerian. You guys know about valerian? Have I played it yet? Okay, is it playing? Okay. Valerian roots. So they're known for their calming effects. Valerian roots can help reduce anxiety and promote relaxation, and it can help you manage stress. And then I don't know if obviously you guys know about lavender. It's used for so many things, but it's used also for aromatherapy, and it's been shown to reduce anxiety and promote a sense of calm, which can be beneficial for stress relief. And then this is one that I take myself, ashwagandha, and I wasn't taking it for stress, but I know that it helps even with your, just thinking straight and just helping you stay focused, kind of thing. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb used for traditional medicine. It's known to help the body cope with stress and reduce cortisol level, which may help prevent stress-induced seizure. And then you have other things like acupuncture, which may help balance your body's energy flow and relieve stress by stimulating specific points in the body. And then obviously aromatherapy. If you use oils like chamomile, lavender, bergamot, and all that, they can have this diffusing, this calming effect to help calm your body. And then obviously this mind body techniques like Tai Chi. Now I have never done that, but Tai Chi and Qigong. Qigong is called Qigong, which combines, your movements with focused breathing. They are beneficial for reducing stress and improving mental clarity, right? So let me see whether do you guys know about any of these at all in the first place? Let me see what Richard says. It says, what advice can you give to someone with similar situation with young children to look after? That's a very good question. So what advice would you give to somebody with a similar situation who's got young kids to look after?
I guess it's slightly different because when it happened to me, I was an adult, so it was more like me looking after myself. But I
Mm,
think where possible, just to use gentleness and just make sure that they're not going to hit their head on anything if they do have a seizure, um, and just to seek like medical advice because I'm not a medical professional myself.
mm,
Um, but yeah, just to speak to different people and see if there's any other things that you can do that will
mm,
um, help that situation. But it does take time to understand it and then to see what methods work for your specific needs or your young one's needs.
Wow. Right, guys, honestly, it's been such a learning experience for me, to be honest with you, because I didn't know a lot about this sort of thing. So I've learned a lot today. And if Elena's story has resonated with you, just don't forget, please hit the subscribe bell and share this. And first of all, again, let me thank those who have subscribed so far. I really thank you. I really need to hit my 1,000 mark by June. So please share this. This is really empowering for people. So share this as much as you can with people so that they can get enlightened also about this sort of condition. And Helena, I want to say a big, big, big thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.
You've enlightened us about things that we probably would not even know that existed before. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you. And I think my audience are thanking you. As my co-hosts in the chat, they've thanked you as well. Thank you so much. And guys, don't forget, click on the link that I shared in the chat to listen to her debut singles. There's two links there, right? There's one that's Spotify, and then there's another one that's Artist
Yes,
Lander.
that's just the landing page for any streaming site that you use,
Okay.
whether that's Apple Music or
Okay.
YouTube, anything where you listen to your music.
Okay.
But be sure to check it out. If pop R&B is your vibe, I like to use music as my emotional catharsism and songwriting, where it sounds very upbeat, but then if you listen a few times, you understand that there's certain layers that we need to talk about, like healing and growth. So it all sort of ties in. I like to pull different threads into my artist work from my learning experiences.
Nice one. Thank you guys for joining. See, today is short and sweet. Short and sweet. This is how we'll try and make it like this all the time, but I cannot guarantee that though, right? But this was short and sweet. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much. And next week's gonna be a good one. All right. So I cannot wait to see you guys next week. Elena, thank you so much again. And to my co-hosts, my Empower Life Royals, thank you so much for joining. You are all darlings, and I love you so much for joining. Have a lovely week. And we will see you next Sunday by the grace of God. Thank you guys. Bye, guys.